I don't know if what I'm about to tell you can be overstated enough. Because the move that Trump is making, the one move that can break the entire government, the entire political system he just announced. Most missed it because they don't realize the impact of what he announced. And it's not the auto pen. Nope. Not even close. What would allow Americans to regain power, independence, and mobility? What would shut down a bloated bureaucracy? End ever endless spending bills, every shadow program? Because it's not only a policy shift, it's a foundational change in the relationship between citizen and state. It's economic emancipation, and the political class knows it. What he just announced is the kind of policy that defines a nation or redefines a nation. And the fact that you probably don't know what I'm talking about goes to show you how powerful it is. Because the mainstream media won't cover it. Because it's the kind of policy shift that terrifies the establishment. And it's the kind of move that changes the trajectory of the great republic of the United States of America for decades to come. And I will cover the details of it for you in just a few seconds. Damn, we're having fun lately, huh? You guys have been phenomenal. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you missed me yesterday, it's pretty easy to see what I've been doing. Just go over, if you're on the public platforms, watch the video link above. Go over to Lisa's channel. Make sure you subscribe while you're there. We did a whole video yesterday on what President Trump just announced about Joe Biden's auto pen and scrapping all those signatures. A lot more information to come on that, but again, make sure you get back, watch that video. I'll give you all the information on it, my breakdown and my analysis. But just one of many housekeeping stories we got to get through, because we find out now that President Biden, ex-President Biden, the shadow presidency or the auto pen presidency or the presidency where he had to invite Steven Spielberg in to help.
We had Steven Spielberg joins, I think for some sessions, I think around the State of the Union. And Jeffrey Katzenberg was also involved in some of those sessions.
Oh, it's so wonderful when nothing is real. You saw nothing. Wonder why they fight back so much against Trump. But he was protected not only by those around him, but the media. They kept everything hidden from you. But now the White House has announced that they're going to expose the media even further. This at whitehouse.gov/media bias. Hope you got to see it. Misleading, biased, exposed, the media offender of the week. Well, they're announcing Boston Globe, CBS News, The Independent, and none other than...
Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
The president has never given an illegal order. These people know what they are doing.
And so the White House calls them out one by one, walking down what's been reported, who's reporting it, and the key talking points to wake America up to what we've been waking you up to for years. It's so nice to see everything turning back on these folks, just like this argument. Remember, they shut down the government. Democrats sue after Trump cut SNAP benefits for alien migrants. Well, that title would make no sense, because if you remember the history of this, Democrats claim the illegal migrants don't have access to such programs. They couldn't touch it. Yet, the Democrats were willing to drag out the government shutdown for 35 days just to stop Trump from implementing cuts that would apparently affect no one. The question was, of course, why? Because they lie. When Republicans moved to block subsidies for migrants, this included the millions of asylum seekers that entered the U.S. illegally, then took advantage of Joe Biden's lax policy, including catch and release. Democrats, however, categorized asylum seekers as residing in the U.S. legally. What a dishonest way to pass the debate and pretend as if Trump is living in a fantasy land. Meanwhile, Democrats hoped that the general public wouldn't catch on to the game. But of course you did. because we reported to you, and that should have been enough, right? America should have woken up, and the Democrats should have just went away realizing they lost. But no, rather than doing that, they do what they always do and say the quiet part out loud by launching a lawsuit.
When this came out, I think a lot of us were thinking this has to be a mistake. These are lawful residents. The law is incredibly clear. Why would the USDA be yanking food benefits away from people? Because we actually genuinely thought this could be a mistake, a letter was sent earlier this month.
Just clarification. Asylum seekers are not U.S. citizens. But go ahead, proceed.
No response was received. And that's why the lawsuit is being filed here today. It's that simple. If you're an asylum seeker, if you're here as a refugee, if you're here as a lawful resident, if you're here in the United States because of a humanitarian purpose, we should never yank people's food benefits away under these circumstances.
And of course, he said within their asylum seeker. So the Oregon Attorney General suing the Trump administration because they cut SNAP benefits for non-citizens and are cracking down on fraud. So you just said the quiet part out loud, but maybe it's just Oregon, right? He's the only one, Justice. Why are you making such a big deal out of this? Oh, trust me, hold there for a second, because he's not the only one. Because eventually the truth always gets out. Often through self-exposure, because leftists can't help themselves. After months of Democrats assuring that illegal non-citizens don't receive government subsidy, Oregon is suing the Trump administration over changes to the nation's food assistance program, arguing the new federal guidance unlawfully blocks certain groups of legal immigrants, asylum seekers, from accessing food aid. When Democrats mention legal immigrants, they're referring to asylum seekers. 21 other states joined Oregon in filing the lawsuit Wednesday in federal court in Eugene, Oregon. Wow. So much for that honesty pill that they have never taken and never will. And now have told you exactly what they have always been looking for, who they've been looking to feed, who they've been looking to help, and what supporters exactly they represent, which unfortunately isn't we the people. If you look underneath this post, it's that beautiful woman underneath by the name of Lisa Haven, who agrees with my sentiment on this one. Let me say this loud and clear. Asylum seekers are not U.S. citizens. What the hell is wrong with Democrats? We can go on that one all day long, baby. Thank you all again for helping this channel to explode. It's because of each of every one of you for doing those simple steps that I ask you each time. If you're new here, for subscribing, and so many of you do every time we put up these broadcasts. And for those of you who are already subscribed, for always making sure your bell is checked. It's amazing, 10 to 20 comments every single video. Justice, I checked and somehow it wasn't. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for putting a comment. Thank you for joining as a member here, sharing a video. We all have different means, and all those make a difference. A comment, a share, a subscription, joining on our platform. You know I carry on these broadcasts 4 to 5 times a week into their full-length version over at restrictedrepublic.com. That's where Lisa Haven and I do all our videos. No commercials, no interruptions, exclusive content. We love you there today. And also, just a special word. This continues to roll forward. I thank you all for all the accolades you are giving this company, which is Chapter. And they have been swamped because of so many of you calling. And thank you for listening, because it's Medicare annual enrollment period. It started October 15th. It ends December 7th. Time is running out. Now, they can help you any time of year, but right now, I'm sure you've been bombarded by robocallers, mailers. Everyone's pushing for what exactly? Well, most companies are pushing for what's best for them. That is not what Chapter does. They push what's best for you. It's a free phone call. It's 805-619-5011. 805-619-5011. You're going to talk to a live person. What do they do? Well, they have built a system that finds all the plans in your areas in under 20 minutes. Tells you what packages are available to you, because every year plans change. Some simply go away. If you don't check, you may lose your doctors, or more importantly, you're going to end up overpaying. And most agents, again, they try to steer you to a plan that makes the best sense to them, not the best sense to you. What's been great about Chapter, and I see it in all the reviews that people write back to me, is that if you have the best plan, they'll tell you you have the best plan. and you go about and have a great day. Because the average person who calls Chapter saves $1,100 a year. Don't wait till the last minute. They've been extremely busy because this has been so successful. Call them today, 805-619-5011. Put some money back in your pocket. Get it done before the end of the year, because those kids and those grandkids are going to need your attention. So get this one out of the way and let Chapter do all the heavy lifting for you. Again, 805-619-5011. Call them right now. But now, let's get back to this broadcast. But we'll go on because Trump is taking care of this, right? He wrote the long message. I covered it in great depth for you. Reverse migration is what he's going after, and he is executing on it over and over. Just a few hours ago, he put this up, reminding everybody the Immigration and Nationality Act, Section 212F. Whenever the president finds the entry of any aliens or any class of aliens into the United States would be detrimental to the interest of the United States, he may, by proclamation, and for such period as he shall deem necessary, suspend the entry of all aliens or any class of aliens as immigrants or non-immigrants, or impose on the entry of aliens any restrictions he may deem to be appropriate. But he's not the only one taking action. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent coming out at POTUS's Real Donald Trump's direction. We are working to cut off federal benefits to illegal aliens and preserve them for U.S. citizens. I wonder if they'll classify asylum seekers under that. Well, I'm sure they will. U.S. Treasury announced that it will issue proposed regulations clarifying that the refunded portions of certain individuals' income tax benefits are no longer available to illegal or other non-qualified aliens, covering the Earned Income Tax Credit, the Additional Child Tax Credit, the American Opportunity Tax Credit, and the Savers Match Credit. And the ball is rolling forward. It's so nice to see, isn't it? Because we don't have a problem here. Welfare use based on legal status of household head. U.S. born versus legal immigrant versus illegal immigrant. I know. Here's U.S. born. Here's legal immigrant. Here's illegal immigrant. Wow. And look at which one has the most disproportionate amount. Food. SNAP benefits. Wonder why all the focus remains there. Just try to keep things really black and white on this broadcast with facts and figures, not just talking points. Too many people do that. It bores the hell out of me, but I won't do that to you here because we have bigger problems, don't we? The foreign-born share of U.S. population is now higher than any other point in U.S. history. Now it is 1 in 6 people, higher than the great wave of immigration in the 20th century. It's now time for another period of restricted immigration, and that is exactly what the Trump administration is moving towards. But they are about to gut the whole of government through an announcement Trump just made that has the whole of government, well, in a panic. And it may go to make sense why they are doing what they're doing with their videotapes, their continual attacks, their media spin, their banter, their lies, their misdirection, because they're about to lose their authority through an announcement that wouldn't make sense to most as to how it would remove their authority. But it does. Trump tariff bombshell is the most exciting news I've heard, and most people passed it by. We had too much other stuff going on. National Guard shooting going on, tragedy going on, Thanksgiving happening. But everyone missed it. Tariffs. What's that related to? Of course it's a good thing, right? In the next couple of years, I think we'll substantially be cutting, or maybe cutting out completely, but we'll be cutting income tax. Could be almost completely cutting it because the money we're taking in is going to be so large. Mainstream media lets it go. Maybe they don't understand the impact. Trust me, they don't. You know why you come here, because I research for you. I define things a little different, because I think a little different, because I dig in and do my research. Income taxes could be eliminated soon due to tariffs. There's a better title. Axios got a little closer, but they didn't define to their audience the impact of what that means. Oh, we're going to here. What's the impact to the average American? $17,000. Give or take. $17,000 to the average American, that's a lot of frickin' money. It means a lot to a lot of people. It means more than just money, though. Here's the rub. Because money isn't everything. Freedom is everything. As the Supreme Court weighs whether Trump's tariffs are legal, and as administration officials continue to insist tariffs are not a revenue tool, Trump keeps making spending promises with money. Why is he pushing it so much? To pull us out of debt? Yeah. Do you believe in tariff revenue? I absolutely 100% unequivocally believe in tariff revenue. There was a reason tariff revenue was created. No taxation without representation. Kind of a key statement, huh? Why do you think that was put in place? Because taxation is slavery in many ways. Debt is slavery in many ways. Tariff revenue climbed to a new high in October, $34.2 billion.
President Trump says that he relied on his tariff policies to make all of this happen. In October, tariffs brought in $33 billion. That's a 316% increase from October of 2024. Now,
big change, big money, big impact. He wrote this statement November 29th, yesterday, as a matter of fact. Tariffs have made our country rich, strong, powerful, and safe. They've been successfully used in other countries against us for decades. Why do those other countries do it? Why is everybody fighting against it? Why is the machine fighting against it? And herein lies the answer. So I want to go back to my graphic because we're going to have that famous conversation we have. This is what I love doing for you. That is what it does. And let me explain further. Worked on this again because I love doing this for you. I hope this is why you're here. I truly hope this is why you're here. We go back to the Schumer shutdown, not an accident. Miscalculation or case of political clumsiness at all. No, it was calculated. It was a planned operation. A 40-day plus flex designed to squeeze the American, starve them financially, disrupt their daily lives, and then pretend it was all for the greater good. But that was government control, showing you who's in control. And what was the greater good? Democrat leadership knew if they could drag the shutdown long enough, their media allies, the fake stream hype media machine, would spin it as brave resistance. They were banking on picking up a handful of new governors, attorney generals, and local power brokers who can help them cement control. November 4th, 2025. That was the end goal. Not a huge election, but enough pieces on the chessboard to matter, because all they care about is control. Because Democrat leadership isn't weak. They're not confused. They're not even acting out of desperation. They're acting with intent, with purpose. Every time they get leverage, they use it, even if it crushes their own voters. This isn't incompetence, it's strategy. Relentless, calculated strategy. A little devoid of leadership for the moment, but still strategy. For decades, those on the right convinced themselves that radicals like AOC, Jasmine Crockett, Hakeem Jeffries were fringe players, outliers, wild cards. No, they are the party. The fringe became the base, and the base became the leadership. Figure that one out for a moment. The whispers became speeches. The whispers became speeches. The quiet part became the campaign slogan. And America became the target. Don't worry, we're getting to the tariffs here. We're getting to explanation. We're getting to income tax. Today's Democrat movement believes America is fundamentally flawed, that our culture is corrupt, that the Constitution is obsolete, and the solution, tear it down and rebuild under their authority, with global ideological approval. Of course. Why do we know that? Look at their policies. No cash bail, defund the police, crush the middle class, devalue the dollar, weaken the military, open the borders. Those aren't American policies. Those are constitutional policies. None of it's random. All of it weakens the country. Every piece advances their agenda. And the media, complicit. Covering. Inflation, crime, border chaos. All of it polished and repackaged for public consumption. They keep pushing propaganda long after Trump's second term, long after new alternatives rise, long after the trust is gone, because misdirection is the weapon. Confusion's the shield, and the enemy is internal. This isn't politics, it's a marathon of manipulation, of which the right generally loses. And most Americans don't even realize that it's happening, except for you who tune in here. So let me explain this. What has Trump done now? This is the fun part. While Democrats have spent decades weakening America, President Trump just dropped a policy bombshell so big it just shook the entire political establishment, and you didn't hear a damn whisper about it. The promise to remove federal income taxes altogether, permanently, funded by his tariff strategy. Think about that. For over a century, America's been conditioned to believe income taxes are as natural as gravity. You earn money, the government takes its cut. That's just how it works, right? Wrong. Wrong. It was never meant to be that way. Ever. Trump is threatening to break out of this political tradition, as well it should be. Older than most of the politicians trying to stop him. He said the quiet part out loud. America doesn't need to bleed its workers dry to function. Instead of taxing the American people, he wants to tax the foreign nationals who have been exploiting American markets for decades. Structured correctly, shift the financial burden away from the U.S. workers and onto countries that have been dumping cheap goods into our economy. Makes logical sense to every normal person except Democrats. Here's the kicker. It's working. It's not fundamentally flawed. It's only the mainstream media that wants it to be perceived as being flawed. But it's not. The numbers are real, revenue's rising, and the political class is terrified. Why? Because income taxes aren't revenue, they're control. Let me say that one more time. Income taxes aren't revenue, they're control. They're surveillance, they're leverage. They're the government's hand in your pocket, in your business, all at the same time. Tariffs flip the script. Tariffs say America first, and the Americans keep what they earn. What a novel thought. You want to know why Washington insiders are absolutely panicking? Why you're seeing these videos come out? Why media pundits are absolutely foaming at the mouth? Shaking, quaking? Why economists tied to elitist think tanks are screaming into the television right now? Because this is the one move that breaks the entire system they rely on. Cut income taxes, and suddenly the government has to justify its entire existence again. Cut income taxes, and the Americans regain power, independence, and mobility. Cut income taxes, and every bloated bureaucracy, every endless spending bill, every shadow program is threatened because there's nothing there. This isn't just a policy shift. It's a foundational change in the relationship between citizen and state. It's economic emancipation. And the political class knows it. If Trump pulls this off, it won't just be the biggest tax reform in U.S. history. It will be the biggest transfer of power back to Americans in modern time. For the first time in generations, your paycheck will be yours. Your labor will be yours. Your financial freedom will be yours. See, money's not everything. Freedom has always been everything. And they've kept control of you by seizing that income. This is the kind of policy shift that defines a nation. The kind of shift that terrifies the establishment. And this is the kind of move that could change the trajectory of America for decades. And if I did not define that enough with enough passion, please tell me in the comments, and I'll definitely attempt to do a better job next time, because I could barely stay in my freaking seat on this one because no one's talking about it. Because journalism's dead. Because no one does research anymore to understand the maneuvers happening, the levers being pulled, and what this man just did is to take the establishment and crush it if this goes through. I love you all. Hope you enjoyed this presentation of fact. Because President Trump is about to deliver the greatest gift that we have seen in modern U.S. history. I love you all. Until next time, Godspeed and God bless. Justice Knight, signing out.